a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
High noon over Camelot. The fluorescent sun beat down over the rusted metal wasteland as the Pendragon gang rode into town. Arthur was the brains of the outfit, with Guinevere's pistol and Lancelot's rifle following where he led. And here he led them to Camelot, a two-cylinder town run by Lavinia Stone, as corrupt and cruel a sheriff as you could ever hope to meet, backed by her brutish clan.
Welcome to Of the Eldest Gods, where we discuss Rick Riordan's role as our godly parent.
I'm Raye from Cabin 12.
And I'm Charlie from Cabin 13, and we're not discussing Percy Jackson things right now.
Yeah, Rick Riordan is actually not relevant.
He's not relevant whatsoever this time.
This is a little project for us. A little time to have a fun time.
This is me and Raye getting back to our roots for the pod. The first thing we recorded together, just to see if we had a good rapport as co-hosts, was our what was it called? Ulysses Dies at Dawn recording, the other Mechanisms album. Because we're like, well, we gotta talk about some mythology things.
Oh,
and
of course.
Someone here really likes the Mechanisms, so
you know. Yeah, so Charlie had listened to some of the Mechanisms before, but never through an album, and I'm like, are you crazy? What's wrong with you? You're not listening to the plot?
I didn't know the lore. Raye, you wanna give a little rundown for anyone who doesn't know what the Mechanisms
we're not gonna
are?
take as long this time, because last time I was like so into the Mechanisms lore. We're not gonna do that again. It took us 4 fucking hours.
No, just do a small summary for anyone who's forgotten or doesn't know.
Alright, so the Mechanisms are a gothic space cabaret band.
Also steampunk?
And steampunk, yeah. I was trying to think of like all of their adjectives. Queer is one of them. There's a lot going on here. Yeah, and they do story albums where they'll have a narrator interspersed with songs, and they will retell a mythology or fairy tale with a queer sci-fi bent. And
it's very good.
It's a lot of fun. All of the singers and musicians have characters in their space pirate band, but they will also be playing characters in the plot of the story. So there's a lot going on here.
It's so convoluted. It's a lot, but you know, we're here to just talk about this specific album.
This specific story, indeed.
Yeah. I think I decided that like after we finish like a Riordan series, we're just gonna come back to like cover a Mechanisms album in between. Just for us.
We've got like 4 more. It'll be fine. That's almost enough to cover all of Rick Riordan's bullshit.
If we need to find something else to do, we can find something else to do. But I just think this is fun. This is for us.
Me too. We're doing this one because this one is my favorite. It has my favorite plot out of all the Mechanisms albums. And because Charlie really likes Arthurian mythology. And
yeah, I was gonna say, I'll still be doing like my In Case You Mythed It, but but like for Arthurian shit, because I love Arthurian shit. Have I mentioned this on the pod before? Probably. But like, listen, I watched all of Merlin because a friend was like, I really like the show, you should watch it. I was like, okay. Well, that was not a great Arthurian adaptation. I think I can do better. And I decided to go even deeper into it and like try to write my own Arthurian show. So like, I know too much. Without being a scholar, quote unquote, I know too much.
Excellent.
For just a casual fan. You know? I'm halfway between scholar and fan.
You're a hobbyist. You're a...
Yes, there you go. That's a word. Well, yeah, let's get into this shit. High Noon Over Camelot. Like, Okay, we're gonna be going over like the Genius stuff here because that's the website instead of Wikipedia. That has all the lyric shit and it's real good. We used this last time and it helped me a lot to, see what was going on.
Yeah, if there's something obvious, then someone has certainly brought it up.
Yeah, but also there's like so much going on. Man.
So all of the narration tracks in this album are named after major arcana tarot cards, which I think is really charming.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, so we're combining not only like the space cowboy shit and Arthurian stuff, but also like we have the major arcana
For
just
fun.
here. Why not?
It adds. So we start out with the Tower, which if you know your tarot, you know is fucking bad. But
yeah, like people who don't know anything about tarot are just like, oh my god, the death card, that's what the worst thing. It's like, no, actually, the Tower is the worst.
Yep.
I don't even know that much about tarot, but I know that.
We have this whole joke with Andy. Andy always pulls the fucking Tower.
Oh no!
They are just going through it constantly.
Okay, I was gonna say, I feel like we should also talk about a little bit about what each tarot card, like, means. Like, anyway, too.
Yeah, sure.
So, I'm not as knowledgeable about these, even though my mom has read tarot in the past.
I have a little collection of decks, but, I've never, studied it. I've never, memorized the shit.
Yeah. Well, I know this is the bad shit. Oh, it follows the devil. Card. Didn't know that. Wonderful. No wonder.
The Tower to me means turmoil.
Yeah.
Things are about to
destructive change, disruptive revelation.
Yeah, death is beginnings and endings. The Tower is actually bad beginnings and endings.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, this is. I'm just on the Wikipedia for it. Just to be like, ooh, what is this? What is this? In one of the decks, the Tower is a crown, and it symbolizes a materialistic thought being bought cheap and downcast. It just means bad shit. It's just bad shit happening.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're starting with that, it's like, okay, wonderful.
Yeah, it's a world being tossed into turmoil. Things are about to change. Which they sure do. So this album, I feel, was the hardest for me to conceptualize the first time I listened through it. And I think that's probably because they kind of, disperse the world building throughout the album. You don't really figure everything out until later. So, just to, give you the most basic understanding of the setting, we are on a space station. You can't see the sky, and no one really remembers who built the space station, what its deal is. It's just generations of people living here who can't even go to the edges because the radiation shielding is failing, and you get mutated if you go too far out. Everything is rusting, and so that is our desert wasteland, is just this rusting metal behemoth floating through the sky. None of these people have ever seen the sun before, because they are inside of this, these interlocking pathways. And so it's set up as a Western, but you kind of have to imagine that there's these huge metal corridors that are just red with rust. And Arthur and his posse roll into Camelot.
I love that you're oh yeah, they've never seen the sun, but then it's the fluorescent sun beat down. There's it's not a real sun, guys. That's it's a
fake sun.
It's the fake. And also it's high noon, but what is time on a space station?
Yeah, I have to imagine that there are systems of UV light that go on and off and maybe move. I don't know if what makes it high noon. Yeah.
It's just because they're cowboys. That's the only reason it's high noon. They're cowboys.
It's high noon, as Matt Mercer says.
So when it starts out, I think it's just Arthur, Lancelot, and Guinevere, and it's just the three of them?
I think that he's got, a posse who lives with him. He's got people, but they're not...
Okay.
They're not all combatants.
Not all of them are just named yet. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's the poly trio. It's the one we needed.
Yeah, it is. I'm so glad.
This is how you fix Camelot. Arthur, Guinevere, Lancelot, they're all in love.
I mean, they should be.
And it's like the perfectly balanced poly
As
trio.
all things should be, yeah.
We have our throuple. We love them.
So my favorite joke here, they're rolling up to take care of Camelot from Sheriff Stone. Anyone who can pull the tin star from Sheriff Stone's cold hands gets to be sheriff of the town. It's the sword in the stone. It's you get it. My favorite joke is that Arthur has a 10 caliber railgun. You've got to imagine the Roman numeral X.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So his gun just says X caliber on the side in any art that you find.
Okay. Let me go over some of the things because you're going too fast for me.
We have to go fast. We can't do another 4-hour episode. We had to cut it in half last time.
But like they're called the Pendragon Gang.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, because like Arthur Pendragon, wonderful. I love that this thing has one for like the fact that it's called a 2-cylinder town, because engines, but also like it could be a play on 2-horse town.
Yeah.
Which is something that happens later on, Pellinor and the Beast. Which is not a song in this. I think that's one. No,
that's on one of the extras albums. We'll get there eventually.
But the fact that we got some references there, and yes, the Sword and the Stone. Okay, but also Lavinia is Roman mythology. Did you know that?
I didn't. Lavinia Stone?
Yeah, just Lavinia. The name Lavinia. Oh. That's the wife of Aeneas. It says her hair catches fire to foretell great days to come. Yikes.
Interesting.
Fun. Also, she could be a reference to, like, Lavinia Fisher, who's, like, an actual gang member.
Cool.
Very cool.
All of her posse just have, like, biblical names that feel very like Western. I don't know if that's relevant to any of the lore here.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll come to it. We sure will. Mm-hmm. So we got the tin star thing. But hey, you said Excalibur. But also, did you also not see the other descriptor for his gun? Clarent.
I don't know what that means.
That is also one of Arthur's swords, or one of the swords involved in the myth. That's the sword that Mordred uses to kill Arthur. I believe it's supposed to be like the sword of peace or some shit, and then Mordred like corrupts it. So fun.
That does feel relevant to the things that are going to occur in this story. Peace being corrupted. Yeah.
Oh, it also says that it's an ancient weapon he just like took off of somebody. Okay. Which makes sense, because so if the thing that he takes off the sheriff is actually like the sword in the stone, then so Excalibur is not actually the sword in the stone, if you didn't know.
Yes. It says specifically he took it off a bandit in one of the flooded sectors. It's the lady in the lake.
So the lady the lady in the lake. There you go. We did it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here.
It's so much, and it's so good, okay? So that's the tower.
And we get to our first song, Gunfight at the Dolorous Guard.
So do you know what Dolorous Guard is?
No, I don't.
That's actually, like, Lancelot's castle. So there's some, like, weird, interesting lore there, where that's, like, one of Lancelot's first, like, things that he does after he, like, leaves his home with the Lady of the Lake. He conquers this, like, castle from, like, an evil king, or evil lord or whatever, and then it becomes Joyous Guard, because he's, like, the rightful ruler of it, and then that's where he finds his name, like, written on, like, a grave. Like, the grave is supposed to be his castle. It's like it was made for him, I guess. I don't know. Weird magical lore. But he was the rightful ruler of it, and that's where he finds out, okay, my name is Lancelot. Cool. Good to know.
I'm assuming he had a different one beforehand.
Yeah. His birth name is Galahad.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Galahad also being the name of his son, who shows up later in this album. Who is not actually his son, I don't think.
They just used that character.
Yeah, which happens sometimes. And then later on when Lancelot and Arthur, like, are like against each other, it becomes renamed back to Dolorous-Guard again, meaning that it's evil. The name has like a meaning of like that it's like evil guard or whatever, versus Joyous Guard.
So what I'm thinking is that they've kind of combined the myths, because Arthur shouldn't have to take Camelot. It's just that it's rightfully his. But we're combining those ideas. We're taking this place that is going to be our headquarters by defeating the evil holders.
Yeah, I think so too.
So all of our polycule gets their own little line here that explains what their talents are as a gunslinger. Guinevere is the fastest draw, Lancelot has the sharpest aim, and Arthur is a good leader and all around, like, jack of all trades, I guess.
Yep. Okay, so, well, Lancelot with the sharpest aim, he was also, like, the greatest swordsman among Arthur's men. So I guess you gotta put that into a gunslinger.
Oh, someone has mentioned here in the annotations that Guinevere always sings quicker than everybody else. Like, her lines are generally quite speedy, which is fun.
Love that. Also, like, there's this line here: you gave in to base corruption, brought about your own destruction, and somebody annotated it to be like, Lancelot has a lot of feelings about honor and purity because he's Christian. Yeah, he's the White Knight. Makes sense. But it's funny because he's also called the Black Knight. Anyway, don't worry about it. I don't think it's relevant here. Yeah, the people's names here, they're just religious in origin. I don't think there's anything else going on there that I can recognize.
Yeah, we just get descriptions of all of Stone's clan getting gunned down.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. There's a bell tolling when they're like, finally, there's Arthur, and that shit happens. So, like, it's high noon, I guess. Hey. And they took over. They did it. They won.
They've done it. As Sheriff Stone, Johnny DeVille has to do, like, a southern accent. It's very funny. He also is the preacher later in the show, which is one of the only other people who's, like, actually trying for a southern thing, and it's the same guy. He's extremely British, so he's doing his best. It's not that bad, but people will make fun of it online.
I was enjoying the really bad southern accents here.
I feel like you're watching Con Air.
Come to our next one, which our next major arcana is strength. What's this song about? This is your job is to tell us about what the song's about.
Oh, okay. You want me to do that?
Yeah. You're gonna tell us what the songs are about, and I tell you all the context for what's going on here.
So they are able to take Camelot and are going to bring in the rest of their people to move in. They've got food, they've got new people writing in who want to offer their services to Arthur. So he's really growing his space, and he wants to get the rest of his people, so he sends off Gawain, who's described as a hot-headed kid, to fetch the rest of his followers, including his daughter, Morgause.
They mentioned that the bodies of, like, the sheriff and, like, all of her people are tossed to a Noon. We gotta love the Welsh pronunciations. Do you see the word? Do you see how it's spelled on this page?
Yeah, there aren't any recognizable vowels in that word for me. They say there is anon in the album, I believe.
I think it's a Noon.
Sometimes the pronunciations are different, like how they say Hephaestus in
True.
So it might be a British thing, it might be a mechanisms thing, I don't know.
I just know, I think that is how you pronounce the weird N's and W's in that. There is only one vowel in this word, and it's the A. Then it just N's and W's all the way down. But that is the other world in Welsh mythology.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And here, that is the outer station with the low radiation where the ghouls live, and they feast on corpse meat, apparently.
Wonderful. Lovely. I mean, yeah, like, Arthur is a lot of, like, Welsh and British stuff, like, all messed around and combined. So it's gonna be in here. Hey, look, we have a huge steel table Wonder if it's round.
Oh, you know.
I wonder if it's round. But I do think it's funny here that, again, Morgause and Gawain are not annotated on this page.
Yeah. We're gonna have to come back and do our own annotations. You gotta fix this.
I'm gonna have to. Unless Gawain is mentioned on one of the other pages. But, you know...
But even so, it should be, like, in this thing.
Yeah, no, seriously. But, you know, Gawain, one of, like, the most famous knights, you know, Gawain and the Green Knight. He's that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
And you know what the whole point of that story is that, like, you're not, like, the greatest of Arthur's knights, but, like, you sure try.
You know what? I like that as a message.
Like, that's it. Like, you're not, like... You're not as, like, honorable as this guy. You're not as strong as this other guy. You're just, like, you're there. And you're giving it your all.
Sometimes that's enough, man. Yeah.
Sometimes that's all you need. And this is, like, he's hot-headed and he really wants blood. In this whole thing. And then there's Arthur's daughter, Morgause, which is very interesting. So, Arthur's family, interesting that this album is like, no, we don't need Morgan Le Fay or Morgana or whatever you want to call her. We don't need her. Which, like, she's so important, but, like, whatever. It's fine. But instead we bring in Morgause, which is, like, more obscure, I feel like. In a lot of modern adaptations, they make Mordred the child of Morgan or Morgana or whatever that. She's usually related to him instead. But Mordred is actually usually the son of Morgause in, like, the traditional stuff. In the original text.
Yeah. You could say that something like that happens. Mordred comes from Morgause.
Yeah.
He's a trans guy. I'm just gonna tell you now. It's about to come up.
Yeah, but Morgause is one of Arthur's other sisters. Yeah, he's got, like, I think 3 sisters in the actual lore. There's Morgause, Morgan, and Anna.
I've never heard of her.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's because most of his knights are, like, a lot of them are related to him. So, like, Gawain is actually one of his nephews. I think he's Morgause's son, I want to say. Yeah, Morgause, right there.
So I'd like to tell everyone that my introduction to the character of Morgan Le Fay was in the Magic Treehouse books, where she's just, like, a nice lady in a treehouse. And when I found out she was a villain, I was like, are you serious? What?
Okay.
My nice treehouse lady?
I'm not gonna lie, I have, like, no recollection of the Magic Treehouse books. Like, I remember reading them, I don't remember what the plot was, like, overall. I'm just like, they went into books, and there was a treehouse, and that's all that mattered. I know that Morgan Le Fay is part of it, but I didn't remember how, so thank you for telling me.
Yeah, it's her treehouse. She makes magic things happen.
She's not always a villain in Arthurian stuff. So, okay. Like, she's usually, like, she starts off as just, like, Arthur's sister. And then she's like, oh, I hate Guinevere. I want her to die. I want to kill her because I want to be the ruler of, like, Camelot and all that shit. Whatever. I don't know. She's got a thing against Guinevere, especially. Like, God, something that I heard was that the Green Knight coming in to, like, face off against Gawain the first time, she thought that Guinevere would just, like, die of fright when she saw the Green Knight. And that's why Morgan sent him. It's just a lot of weird shit. But then... yeah, she does her whole thing, and then she gets redeemed later on. So whenever you make her a villain, and she's, like, the end-all, be-all villain, she does not end that way in the stories. She usually takes Arthur's body to Avalon in the end.
Okay, so that makes sense, then, that by the time Magic Treehouse is happening, she's like, chill.
Yeah.
All right, back to this.
Chill. That tarot card was strength. It's strength. I don't know what else that means. What's the interpretation?
They've actually put this in the about section of the song, like the song bio.
Oh, good.
It's power, courage, and success.
Love that. There you go. Success. They beat the guys. They succeeded. Good shit. And the next song is Empty Trail.
Yeah, things are not going as well now. They have to travel 100 miles over, like, dust and over sandy dunes of rust is the line in the last song. And Gawain is not having the best time. They are riding bikes, so whenever they say we're gonna ride, imagine that they have motorcycles and not horses.
Yep. We gotta love that. The motorcycle.
I just... visualizing this album I find very difficult because it's so Western in the aesthetic, and then they'll say something about their dust masks and goggles, and like
it's Mad Max.
It's Mad Max. It is.
Even though I've never seen or consumed Mad Max, but like from what I know
Close
about
enough.
that's what it seems like.
They're traveling so long, everyone's desperate, stuff starts breaking down, they can't move anymore, and then Gawain gets sent ahead to pull back help, and and the song ends there, with everyone dying under the unrelenting sun.
Yeah. I only have like one thing here, and it's like from the annotations. I don't know a whole lot about the mechanisms and all that, but like this has like the narrator of this song is assumed to be possibly Igraine, played by Raffaella Lacognizzi. Okay, this says that Igraine is one of Arthur's partners and Mordred's mother.
Interesting. I wonder, because there are like short stories and stuff on the Mechanism site that I haven't ever dug into, so that might be like supplemental material.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I was like, I don't know when that's named. I don't remember hearing.
Yeah,
her
that's
name
not in the album
this.
as far as I know.
Okay, but fun fact: Igraine is actually the name of Arthur's mom, which is probably why they chose that as like Mordred's mom / Morgause. So. Yeah,
we can call him Mordred. We don't have to.
Yeah, but like, you know what? Like it's Arthur's sister that they made into his daughter's son.
Yeah. Lots going on.
Next one is death.
Yeah, great. Yeah, you know how we were just saying that death doesn't have to be a bad omen? In this case, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. Let's talk about the what is the death tarot card? It's just change. It's
transition.
It's transition, death, rebirth.
But it can also just mean death, which is a thing that happens here.
I'm sorry, some people omit the card from their decks. No, that's ridiculous.
You could not. If the cards have to tell you something, then they're gonna do it. You can't just say, no, I don't want to hear this. Come on now.
Literally some specific, like, types of tarot, like, just, omit the name from the card. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
It's the card with no name.
No, that's alright. That's fun. That's got a little spice to it.
I love that it's got the Grim Reaper on it. We love her. So shit happens.
So the Pendragons come back to pick up their people, and the whole caravan is dead. They have been slain by the ghouls. They do explain it here. They're the Saxons for the Sayax knives they carry. Mm-hmm. Delightful. But Morgause's body is not actually among the slain. The ghouls pitied him and picked him up, and he grows up with them and transitions while he's there. And Mordred, eventually, after he grows up, he leaves Noon and returns to Camelot and joins them. He knows that Arthur is his dad. Arthur does not recognize him. He still assumes that his daughter has been killed. And then we get to our Merlin. There is a copper and wire man hanging in the gallows. I don't rot in copper and wire. Anyways, it's a metal guy. Apparently, Rust and Time wore away the name Brian so that it looks like Merlin, which doesn't actually make any sense. But
nope.
So this is our Mechanisms cameo. They play the little Mechanisms tune in the back of the track. It's delightful. Brian is Drumbot Brian, who is one of our space pirate crew. Normally, they have a little bit more to do with the story in the album. In this one, it's just a little guy. I don't know what he's doing here. I don't know why he's been here so long, but there's an immortal space pirate, and he's gonna tell us some prophecies.
Love that. Okay, so the fact that here after like the ghoul raiding party, it says, on that day, Gawain conceived a monstrous hate for the ghouls, presumably. It's kind of because, like, Gawain kind of causes the fall of Camelot. Like, I mean, there's lots of different factors, but he starts the war with Lancelot. After Lancelot kills his brothers to try to rescue Guinevere.
Sounds like some sincere drama.
Sincere drama. The love triangle happens. Guinevere, for like her infidelity, is gonna be sentenced to death. So Lancelot has to go and rescue her along with like some other people, and ends up killing all of Gawain's brothers. So Gawain's like, fuck you, and that's when it becomes Dolorous Guard again, because like
unfortunate.
Yeah, he kind of becomes a baddie for a little bit. It's okay. Hey, look, the Saxons are here. They just exist in history. Like, that's literally the people that Arthur was like facing against in like the legends. And yeah, I believe they were actually also named after the knives too. This is what it says here.
Oh,
so
possibly. I was wondering if they made that up or not.
I mean, that's like they're little historical weapons from the early Middle Ages. So
yeah, so kind of fucked up that they made them, radiation poisoned cannibals, but
yeah, kind of sad.
But within this story, it slaps. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then, hey, look, Mordred is now a trans guy. We love that.
Yay!
We love that for him. Still Arthur's son. Yeah, there you go.
We made it. Mordred is one of my favorite performances in this album. He's going to get some good songs later. He is Ashes O'Reilly, and I just wanted to acknowledge that because they do such a good job.
Awesome.
Ashes was Hades in the...
Right. Yes. No, I remember this now. Okay.
Yeah, good shit.
Yeah, then you already talked about the Merlin to Brian thing. What the fuck?
How do you get Merlin from Brian? The fandom has wondered for years.
Like, I really, you're gonna have to send me some fandom shit about the mechanisms, because I'm like so intrigued by all of these things. I want to see the fan art. I want to see like things people have written about it. So yeah, at the end of the song, it's like no one cared about this hangman, Merlin or Brian or whatever, and then he starts to speak. Hey, Merlin could see the future and knew some prophecy shits. Also, I mean, the thing about like I don't know why he's like a hanged man made of copper and wire, but like there is like a story where Merlin is a tree. He's turned into a tree. So like that could be why he's not like an active character.
Yeah, why he's strung up and just kind of a feature of the landscape.
Yeah, I believe who is he turned to a tree by? I want to say it's Morgan. No wait. I think it's the Lady of the Lake. Yeah, I think it was the Lady of the Lake. He tries to get with her, and she's like, no, thank you. And so
get treed,
she
idiot.
turns into a tree. There you go. Love that. And then we get our first mention of Galahad, who's just a preacher man.
Yeah.
Love that. I mean, he is like the knight of like purity. That's like his whole thing. He's the purest boy to ever have lived. And that's really funny if you think about his birth and how he first existed.
It sounds like drama.
It is, because Lancelot is okay, trigger warning, but Lancelot is like date raped.
Oh shit.
By this woman, Elaine. I want to say that, I believe that she disguises herself as Guinevere, and he thinks that he's laying with Guinevere, and then they have this child named after, like, Lancelot's, like, other name, Galahad, and then Galahad becomes, like, the purest boy who ever lived. But also, like, he's, like, very connected to the Grail from like other means as well, based on like his mother and her family. The Grail stuff is like so weird and none of it makes sense. But her father was like the Fisher King, who's like the holder of the Grail, which I believe some of that comes up in here.
It is going to come up. It is. Yeah. What was I about to say? I don't remember. Oh, I was going to talk about Batman for no reason.
Batman? How's Batman related here? Is Batman a knight?
So I've heard so many different explanations for how Damian Wayne comes to be, but in the official like DC animated universe, their explanation is that Talia drugged and raped Batman. Yeah, and I'm like, hello? This is canon? Remember. Hello? Not the animated universe as in the Batman the Animated Series. I'm talking about the films, the DC. Yes. You understand.
I did watch Son of Batman.
Yeah, we watched that recently, but we had already seen Apocalypse War, in which that also comes up, and we were like, are you serious? Hello?
I love Damien.
He's a good little guy. Okay,
I'm
just indulging my Batman obsession because I was thinking about date rape. Moving on.
Just casually thinking about that. That's fine.
For conception, it seemed related in my brain.
Why does that happen so much in media?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the hanged man rusts. Would you like to explain what is happening here?
Yeah, this is a good one. So we're gonna do 3 different prophecies, much in the same way that Hades did in Ulysses Dies at Dawn. Kind of a similar character usage of a mechanisms character. Okay, so Merlin tells Gawain that his hate is going to lead to violence and that he needs to learn to forgive the ghouls, and Gawain is like, I hear you, man, but that doesn't seem like that's gonna work out for me, sorry. He tells Merlin that his son lives and that he doesn't need to fear the ghouls also, because if he listens to his son, then he might be able to save his world. There might still be a chance. And Arthur's like,
this to?
Arthur? Did I say that?
You said Merlin.
Oh, Merlin tells Arthur that his son is alive. And Arthur's like, what the fuck are you on about? I never had a son. Because Arthur forgot that trans people exist. I don't think he's transphobic. I literally think he's just forgot.
I mean, like, that's, like, a great thing for, like, prophecy kind of shit,
It is. It's really good.
To be like, what? I never had a son? What are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I do like both of these prophecies very much, because, you get to the end of the album and you're like, yeah, if either of them had listened, things might have worked out, but they sure didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to Merlin and Galahad, and Merlin tells Galahad that he needs to sit in the siege seat, the captain's chair, at the head of the round table. The one that they've warned you not to sit in, and that he needs to listen to the visions that it gives him. And Galahad's like, great, awesome, I will so do that, man. He's the only one who really gets his prophecy. Because it was pretty easy, honestly.
Yep, gotta love it.
Yeah. Any notes?
Listen, I'm trying to figure out what, like, is, like, revealed here versus, like, later on, because some of this, like, also just talked about later. I mean, like, the seat, so that's, like, a literal thing in the Round Table. Siege Perilous, that is the seat that only the Grail Knight can sit in.
Whoa, so there's, like, some real shit happening here. I had no idea.
Yeah, literally, like, only the person who's going to obtain the Grail can sit there. Sometimes Percival takes it, because in earlier versions, he's the one who does it, but later, Galahad. Yeah, it's, I mean, like, again, some of this stuff happens later.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Like Gawain's hatred, Arthur's son, and then all the shit with the Grail is, like, being foreshadowed. I love how they do the Grail. Like, that's so weird.
It's so good. It's so fun. All right, so next we have the Hierophant, who is, like, a religious leader.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I was about to figure out what that is. just okay. It's like just a holy person. Cool. Which is why we introduced Galahad here.
Yeah. So it's here that they explain what the siege seat is. Galahad sits down in the chair that has already driven 2 other men insane, and, well, it drove one of them insane, and then he died. The other died instantly. And he's like, I am built different. And it turns out that he is. And this is where we start to really get into some of the world building, some of the lore. When Galahad sits down, the narrator, Johnny DeVille, tells us that this space station was built by a starfaring civilization in close orbit to the sun Avalon, and no one knows what happened to them. But this space station, Fort Galfridian, was never finished, and it was abandoned centuries ago. The siege seat wires you directly into the station sensors, which, as it says here, would be fine. Like, it's not supposed to drive you insane, except the station is in a decaying orbit, and it is going closer and closer to the sun. That's why everything's getting hotter and hotter. That's why the radiation shields are breaking down. like, we are kind of fucked as things are. And so the people are dying because they are getting overloaded with this heat. But Galahad is able to, like, kind of take it in and interpret it in his own way.
It's good shit.
Yeah, and that one's pretty straightforward. That's just our cool world building. I love this shit so much. I think it's so cool.
Hey, you know some other really cool world building shit that, like, okay. So this is saying that, like, when Johnny DeVille is, like, narrating all of this shit, there's some stuff that's, like, whispered
oh yes,
in the background.
I love like the Galahad like audio work that they do for him in this scene and in one later. Like the soundscaping is incredible. But yeah, is there something going on in them whispers?
Yeah, the whispers are from Idyllus of the King by Alfred Tennyson. It's about the chair fashioned by Merlin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's literally just talking about Siege Perilous. It's very cool. And hey, I already talked about Avalon, but like, hey, that's their son, and that's like the place where Excalibur was forged, and where Arthur goes when he's dying.
Okay, what about Fort Gelfridian?
It says it refers to Geoffrey of Monmouth. Geoffrey of Monmouth. And you know, his most famous work is The History of the Kings of Britain, which is where we get King Arthur from.
Cool.
I am confused about the Fort Gelfridian thing though, like
I think that they just named it that so that would help with their Grail acronym.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, okay. It's his birth name is possibly Galfridus Arturus.
Oh, okay.
I was like, where do we get Galfridian?
Yeah, where does yeah, okay.
Yeah, and so the fact that the station was like created and then never finished is like, hey, look, the Romans ruled Britain. Did you know that? The Romans did in fact like rule Britain for a little bit of time.
All them people crushing the local culture had to come from somewhere.
Yeah. Lots of shifting things happening and civil wars. So that's where that comes in. Already talked about the siege seat. That's funny. What? Holy roller's a mocking term?
Oh yeah.
Referring to certain churchgoers? I did not know about this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fun things.
So that brings us to Hellfire, which, I don't know if you would know this, this is the most popular song off this album.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Which is so deeply, deeply funny to me. Because it's dem bones. Guys, it's dem bones, them dry bones. Your leg bone connected to your hip bone. And he made this into a banger.
Alright.
Deeply, deeply funny. So Galahad, he's a death and brimstone preacher. He's saying you sin too much, and that's why we're all falling into the flames of hell, because he doesn't have context for what the actual sun is. He's never seen it. It's a big thing in the sky. They've never seen space. They're all inside. So he's like, we are falling into the flames of hell, and everything's gonna keep getting hotter and hotter unless we are able to find the Holy Grail and save ourselves. And also, you all have to stop sinning.
Yeah.
So everyone who listens to the Mechanisms just loves getting yelled at by a scary preacher.
Apparently.
It makes sense. Johnny is very good at religious fervor and giving incantations and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, this, like, makes sense for Galahad's character, like...
I just love that they made him so insane here. He's so good. I love his performance in this whole album.
Yeah. Again, like, a lot of this I don't have notes for because it's, like, very... you know, obvious what's happening here. But again, another spoken interlude thing where we have more Idyllus of the King, and it's like the last 4 lines. This are repeated like in the background a few times.
Cool.
I'll read it. And once by misadvertence, Merlin sat in his own chair and so was lost. But he, Galahad, when he heard of Merlin's doom, cried, "If I lose myself, I save myself."
That follows. That tracks. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's good shit. I love that he's just like, oh yeah, we're falling into the sun. No, that's hell. Wow.
I mean, what else?
Beautiful. What else would it be?
It's so good.
It's hellfire. And then we have the lovers.
My favorite part.
I wonder what the lovers could be about. No idea.
So the Lover's Tarot card is alignment of values and choices and harmony. Yeah, you get it. It's about
Trials
being
overcome.
in tune with somebody else.
Yeah, good shit.
So what we find out here is that Galahad knows how to find the Galfridian Restricted Access Interface Login, or Grail.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to travel to the center of the station and retrieve the Grail so that they can steer the spaceship away from the fucking sun.
Mm-hmm.
So the Pendragon posse and Galahad prepare to ride out, leaving Mordred and Gawain in charge of Camelot. Arthur was gonna maybe leave Mordred in charge, but he thinks he's too soft. So he's like, Gawain, you, balance him out. And then to lead us into the next song, we talk about the three lovers drinking away the evening in the Joyous Guard. And then we're gonna talk about them in the next song.
It's good shit. Good shit. So the Grail.
The Grail, the Holy Grail! Hell yeah!
It's literally the Holy Grail. Hey, why? This is in, so much of King Arthur shit? Because they made a lot of it Christian. That's why. It's just we gotta get weird and existential and Christian. And yeah, Galahad's the Grail Knight. So it's only him who can do it.
It's his destiny.
It is. And then we've got the whole Mordred and Gawain left in charge of Camelot. Mordred is in fact left in charge of Camelot when Arthur goes to fight Lancelot, I believe. And then it's oh shit, you left the person who wanted control of Camelot in charge of Camelot.
Yep. These things happen.
Yeah. There's also a thing where Mordred really wants to steal Guinevere from Arthur too. So that happens.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah, that happens when Arthur leaves him in charge too. We've already got enough drama there. Don't add more stuff. This also says there's one instance of Arthur leaving two knights in charge of Camelot when he goes to Rome. So I guess that's why Gawain's there. And I already talked about Joyous Guard. So
yeah, that's fun that they made it into a tavern. A saloon, I'm sorry. We're in Western times.
How dare you? And now we're halfway through.
We're halfway through, which is good because we are on track for a fucking 2-hour episode.
There we go.
All right.
And now we come to Blood and Whiskey. I feel like this should be more popular. Come on.
It's so good. It's so good. Some people get it. Us polyamory enjoyers, we understand. There's a joke that the only liquids that exist in Mechanism's world are blood, whiskey, and gasoline.
That tracks. That tracks to me. No water.
No
whatsoever.
Water? All right. Yeah, this is my favorite song because because it hadn't actually talked about them being lovers before we got to this portion of the album. And I'm like, oh my god, they're dating? Hell yeah. So Lancelot is talking about drinking and drowning our sorrows in whiskey before we have to head out. But, it starts out, oh my loves, raise a glass. And I'm like, hello? Guinevere, you're my stars. Arthur, you're my knight. This is also Johnny, just so you know. Lancelot.
Yes, Lancelot is Johnny. I know that.
He's so many characters in this one. Then we pass off to Arthur, and he says, Lancelot, you're a fool to drink so much, but we're gonna head out, and we need to find that grail. He also says, I love you, but you stink to hell of whiskey, and I'm like, he loves him! With you and Guinevere, I know we won't be beat. They trust and love in each other. And then the song speeds up as we move to Guinevere, which, we already talked about that earlier. She's the fastest draw because it's about them riding out. They're traveling over miles of steel and they're raiding camps. They're shooting a lot of people. And then they're getting horribly injured and having to clean out wounds with whiskey.
Yep. Good. Yep. Wonderful.
I love them. I love their relationship. I get this one song, and that's all I need.
That's all you need. We love them.
I love an OT3! You don't understand! They are everything to me.
OT3! So you gotta love, we have foreshadowing that we're gonna end up dead with a bullet in the head. Okay. So there's some lore things here. Very interesting. Okay, the fact that they're like, you're my stars, but like the station doesn't have stars. But like they're so like the fact
they know
that
about stars by like reputation. Like culturally, the idea of stars exists, but no one's ever seen one.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's like you don't know about these things, but like you have to come up with that. Very cool. Yeah, I mean they're cute.
They're cute. That's the whole song. Sorry, they're just cute, and
that's all
also
that
they're doomed to death.
They're lovers that are doomed, and you gotta love them. Okay, that's all that matters here. Now on to the Fool.
The Fool.
I wonder what the Fool means.
Again, it's another card about beginnings, major choices.
Yeah.
The Fool doesn't know what's ahead in the journey, which is kind of their point. And to me, the Fool in this section is Mordred. He doesn't know what's a-comin'. So this is about Mordred and Gawain running Camelot. Like I said earlier, they balance each other out. Gawain is a harsh ruler, and Mordred is a very soft ruler. And Mordred really wants peace with the Saxons, and Gawain's like, are you serious? They're like insane. No. And so, but Mordred's like, I'm in charge now. Arthur can't tell me no. You can't tell me no. You can disagree with me, but I'm gonna go out and talk to them. So he goes out to talk to them, and that's gonna be the next song.
Yeah.
We get some fun description here. Mordred once again walked among the carrion cooking fires, the huts of bone and gristle, and those clothed in the leather of their fallen friends, for nothing went to waste among the Saxons. I feel like that's a, visuals things. They're out there. What are they supposed to do?
I don't know what they're supposed to do.
They don't have cool seats that have been around since the beginning of the station. They don't have water rolling in.
No one has water.
Camelot has water. It's one of the only places with water.
Blood, whiskey, and gasoline.
No, that's true. That's true. There is no water here. Blood, whiskey, and gasoline.
My 3 favorite things to drink. Yeah, I mean, again, not a lot of notes for this, but I really love what they're doing with Mordred here, where it's like, Mordred's not the bad guy. Mordred just wants, like, peace with everybody. And I'm like, wow, that's cute.
Mordred is such my little guy in this album.
Like, instead of, like, being the angsty emo son who's just like, Dad, you don't understand me. Instead we have like, I just want everyone to live happy, and they don't want to.
Why can't we all get along? Dad, you don't understand me.
I mean, there's always gonna be Dad, you don't understand me, because that's how the relationship goes.
That's how it be. That's how it be.
Yeah. It's just cool. And I feel like I should have mentioned this before, but like the fact that they're like the ghouls are in Noon, just like, I don't know, because we said that's like, it's the other world. So it's like the other world is like where like the dead live. It's also where the gods live, but it's where the dead live. So like the ghouls being there makes sense.
And then combining that idea with the Saxons, yeah, it's interesting.
Why is Mordred not a ghoul? Is my question.
Presumably he wasn't there long enough to get super irradiated.
I don't know.
But like, it's also a culture, and he was raised by them, but his original culture was still the Pendragons.
True. I also think it's interesting for like Mordred to be this like the one who wants peace and everything, and like the thing that he kills Arthur with is like the sword of peace, like in the legends. I think I looked it up, but Clarent is like, it's supposed to be the sword that like knights people. It's not really a weapon. It's supposed to be more decorative.
Unfortunate.
So, yeah. All right. Skin and Bone.
I really like this song. I think it's quite catchy. Mordred entreats the 2 chieftains of the Saxons to come with him and share in the resources of Camelot in peace. And they're like, bro, they hate us. So what they do in this song is the 2 chieftains kind of speak over each other. They like swap back and forth. They toss the lines back and forth. It's very fun. And yeah, they are mostly just like, no, man, if they see us, they're going to be so mad. But by the end of the song, they are able to agree. Mordred says that he's going to defend them. They tell him that they'll try. They'll come with him and they will attempt this peace that he's offering.
We love it. They're gonna try to make peace.
I'm sure that's gonna work out so good.
So well, obviously. Here there's a line that says Saxon ghouls, and that might be a play on Saxon Gauls. Like two other they're separate people, but like they were also like different people that like Arthur was against. So
okay, so like Gauls, like yeah, that could be a pun. The whole album, Ghouls and Gauls.
Yeah, it could.
So we've combined these two ideas. Yeah.
Makes
I'm
sense.
tracking.
But I do really love the overlapping lines when they do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that happens. No, is it just this song that happens? I love it. Anyway, it's good shit.
So we move here to the Hermit.
Yeah.
Okay, so it says here that the Hermit Tarot is inner wisdom, a higher state of being. Reversed, the Hermit can be isolation or heedlessness.
Makes sense to me.
So the Hermit is probably referencing the Captain, who we're gonna learn some stuff about in the next song. So what happens here is the Pendragons come upon the Captain's door. Unfortunately, the Captain's door is guarded by automatic gun turrets.
Yep.
Percival and Bors have already been gunned down, which is how they figured out that those were there.
Oops.
And Galahad is like, don't worry, I got this. And we get some more fucked up audio from him. This shit gave me chills the first time. It's so good, the audio work that they've done here. And the narrator like yelling as this goes on. Galahad walks straight into the gun turrets and he just keeps going. His legs are shot to bloody stumps, and he just laughs, and the guns run dry trying to kill this man. and then he does finally die.
This just like so much feels like something that like a religious like person would do. Like a super overtly religious person would just be like, "No, I believe," and then just like goes into that shit. Like it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Bruh?
Yeah, he knows his destiny.
This is how you know you're in a cult.
The line here, say what you want about faith, but it can have powerful effects on those who have it. It can keep you from faltering as the bullets start to slam into you. Yeah, this entire section here, I'm obsessed with it. It's so fucked up and cool. All right. And then we come upon the Captain, who is frozen in a life pod, and in his hands he holds the Grail, and none of the Pendragons check the logs contained in the room, which are going to be our next song, that are going to explain the past of the station. We're finally going to get some info.
Yep. Okay. So, Bors and Percival were Grail Knights, in fact. Percival was one of the ones that actually got the Grail. Bors was just, like, on the quest. Both very important knights in the lore.
And yet.
I mean, sometimes, I think Percival, like, he goes on and maybe does some more stuff after that. I don't know. I don't remember what else Bors does. There's at least one Bors, if not two, that are in the lore. Don't worry about it. And hey, you know what's fun? The automatic gun turrets, kind of in the lore.
Hello?
So if you're not pure enough to see the Grail or like get the Grail, there's just a fireball thrown at you.
Nice.
Gotta love it.
I love
amazing.
Yeah, very good.
And then we have our captain here. So, Captain Joseph Robert Mythia is a reference to Joseph of Arrhythmia, or Arithmathia. Yeah, I've never tried to say that out loud.
Yeah,
I've never tried to say that out loud. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, so he's the one who like had the Grail. So
it says here that he was also imprisoned and kept alive by the Grail, which is like,
don't worry about it.
It makes sense as like a life pod thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. All right. Next on to Holder of the Grail. That's a thing.
Yeah, it is.
This song is also a lot of fun. Very bouncy. I feel that it emphasizes the naivety of Captain Methea here.
Mm-hmm. I love that, like, this is just knowledge for us. It's not for any of the others. Like,
just world building. Don't worry about it.
Here, you guys get to hear, like, the prequel and, like, what happened before, but none of them know this context or care, so.
So, Captain Methea, he uses the Grail to keep the air moving, to keep the solar sails working, so that the station does what it's supposed to do as they are finishing building it. And then the General Shuttle never comes. There's no answer on the comms. They can't contact anyone outside of the station. It's like everyone just disappeared. Their entire civilization. It seems like only this station, Fort Galfridian, is left in maybe the entire universe, and there's no explanation for what happened. So suddenly, he's in charge of the entire remnants of a civilization. He's the only person keeping them alive, holding this Grail. And as things get worse, like, the little, like, banjo riff in between verses, like, starts, like, degrading, and, like, notes will be off. Very fun. And then, a decade later, the general has caused issues by trying to rule too tightly. She comes up while he is fishing, which I always thought was a weird line, because I'm like, you can fish here? There's, like, pools of water with fish in them? Since you said something about the Fisher King, I'm like, oh, reference. Got it. The general tells him that the engineers have mutinied, and that she wants him to cut off air so that they'll all die out. And in the last verse, it turns out that he cut out air for the general instead, and now people are trying to break down his door, the turrets are wailing outside, and he's just going to go into stasis so he doesn't have to deal with this anymore, because it's all too terrible. Yeah, things really degraded very quickly there.
Just a little bit. Okay, I'm trying to see if I can... Because I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember why he's called the Fisher King. Anyway, the Fisher King is, like, the holder of the Grail. There's, like, a whole thing about how the person who gets the Grail also is gonna be the one to cure his injury. He has an injury. It's fun, the, like, weird illusions in Legend to where that injury is. It's like, it's just, he's injured in his leg. It's not really his leg. It's his dick.
Put that dick back.
So I would assume it's supposed to be like an infertile thing, or whatever. Yeah, like, there's so much about the fucking injury. But I don't know why he is called the Fisher King, necessarily. Let's see if Google has an answer for me. Just, like, tell me. This is telling me because he spends all day fishing due to a wound that won't heal. Okay, sure.
It's just the only thing he can do. Okay, that's fine.
Okay. I was just like, why Fisher? Why? Tell me. It doesn't tell me that he's going fishing. Okay, yeah. So that's that. And then, yeah, the whole, like, sleeping forever. We kind of talked about the Joseph thing. And then the Fisher King also can't die until the Grail is claimed.
Okay, well,
so
as we move on to the next track, that's what happens.
No way! Judgment!
Yeah, Judgment. Let's see that song bio. Alright. Revival, karma, retribution are reversed. It can be a lack of self-reflection and ignoring regrets. Yeah, they open the life pod, and they don't let him get a word out, and they shoot him dead. Because they're like, we want that, so you can't have it.
Yep.
Poor guy. He's been down there for centuries.
I mean, honestly, he probably wanted to be dead, so...
Alright, so they take the Grail, they place it in a life pod in the center of the chamber, and what happens is this entire area whirls up through the station on a little elevator, and they end up back in the round table in Camelot. It was directly connected. And suddenly, this seat has become the captain's chair, and by sitting in it, they are going to designate a captain who has control over the Grail. So suddenly, we are in a Western standoff. Lancelot, Guinevere, and Arthur have always ruled in 3. It says their ambitions kept in check by love for the other 2, but now that there's going to be one who has distinct power over the others, they all want to be that person. Meanwhile, directly outside, the Saxon delegation has come to meet with the Camelot residents. Mordred is offering his hand in friendship, and then a scorpion crawls near him. Someone draws her seax to slay it, and Gawain shoots her dead, and suddenly we are in the midst of an all-out battle.
Yeah, not good shit. So, this also references outside the Camelot wastes. So the Battle of Camelot is actually the final battle of, like, where Arthur and Mordred die. That's what it's called. So the original, like, thing of, like, what we know about them before people started writing about Arthur and Mordred and everything, but, like, the original, like, actual text that we have about them existing in history is that they fought in this battle and Arthur and Mordred died.
Huh.
And I can't remember, but I think the battle might have been named. So, like, that is the historical shit that we know, is that they had names and they died.
Cool. Real guys.
Were they on the same side? Unclear. Were they on different sides? Unclear.
Huh. Cool.
We don't know a whole lot about them, but people started writing a lot of fucking fan fiction.
I love that. I love culture. That's so fun.
All of Arthurian lore is fan fiction.
It's delightful.
So, like, I say, like, in the original legends, but, like, there's legends, there's so many, there is no official canon.
It's all fanfic. Weird. Lancelot is a French OC.
Lancelot is the most fanficky, though. Lancelot is the random French OC who's just, like, he's the coolest of the cool guys. Like, actually, like, he's a French prince, and he was raised by the Lady of the Lake. Like, bruh? What is going on here? Okay, and then we got this thing about the scorpion. So, apparently there's an interpretation, like, of the Battle of Camelot where a knight mistakenly draws his blade to kill a snake while Mordred and Arthur are negotiating. And then both sides, like, start the battle because, like, oh no, somebody grabbed a sword.
Okay, deeply funny to me that, they changed it to a scorpion because Johnny was like, we need something very westerny. And they're like, you know that there are snakes out there too, right? And he was like, I don't care. It's a scorpion now.
That's fine.
That's just also in the annotations. There's a whole Twitter thread here. Yeah. It's very funny.
I mean, in my brain, I'm thinking it's the, what are the weird, like, you've seen holes? The yes. Weird, like, lizard guys, the
yellow-spotted lizards.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's that. And, like, the guy, like, immediately is shooting it in the face, you know? Like, that's... Yeah.
Teddy had nightmares about yellow-spotted lizards. Like, they found them so disturbing in that movie.
Oh, man.
Just a little guy.
They are just little guys.
They are spooky. I think part of it is because the CGI on those lizards in that movie is, like, so unsettling.
Yeah, no, it's very unsettling.
All right. Peacemaker.
Yeah. We gonna make peace?
We tried. So this one is between Gawain and Mordred. Gawain is kind of mocking Mordred's idea of trying to make peace, and that he failed so badly, and that now we have to kill each other. And then Mordred does end up fighting on the Camelot side and slaying Saxons. And, alright, I'm just gonna read this little spoken interlude. And so Mordred fought, and saw in each slain Saxon the face of she who saved him, and as his cheeks grew warm with tears and blood, so too his heart grew cold. And then Mordred, comes in, saying that, Gawain is a warmonger, and is this what he wanted? All of this blood flowing. And, yeah. We're just in the middle of this horrible, bloody battle, and we have a little outro of Mordred saying, "Where will you run to?" Presumably, he's coming after Gawain. This one's rough. It's good.
It is rough. I don't have a whole lot about this. I mean, I've already gone over, like, Gawain and how, like, he kind of causes the fall of Camelot. This is what's happening here. Look at that. But we do get, like, some references to them being brothers in the original lore. Tell me, dear brother, is this how you'll rule? Yeah. Fun stuff. They're terrifying. Peacemaker, we really made peace with this one, right? There was also a thing about non-Arthurian, but, like, Peacemaker is the nickname of a revolver associated with Westerns.
Fun.
I love that. I love that this is, like, a reference to Westerns.
So I already read you Mordred's spoken interlude. The one about Gawain is also good. And so Gawain fought, and through it all heard the shrill keening of vicious laughter, and as his fear bled through his pistol's mouth, he knew the laugh was his own. Pretty evocative also. I just love the writing in these albums.
Gawain really went, like, batshit.
He did, yeah. It's exactly like Merlin told him. Your fear is going to lead to hatred, which is going to lead to bloodshed. And he was like, whatever.
Oh well, guess I'll shed some blood.
I'm on it, man.
And then we have Justice.
Our very last spoken interlude, our very last tarot card. Justice, truth, and accountability. The consequences of long-term actions coming to fruition. Yeah. We're dealing with our consequences now. It also says, like, this might be referencing Mordred's justice upon the station for everything that's happened. Yeah! Okay, so what happens here? This is a long one. Okay, this section is so good. So we are back to our spaghetti western standoff between Guinevere and Arthur and Lancelot. I love the descriptions here. Their minds are whirling with scenarios. Guinevere was the crooked straw, no question, but perhaps she could only take one of them out before the other got her. Lancelot was the best shot. If he managed to clear leather, it was all over. Arthur could beat him on speed, but perhaps Guinevere was counting on this. No sound broke the silence, as an eddy of rust blew in from the open door. Delightful. And then, all at once, they all lower their guns, and they agree, without even a word, that Arthur should take the seat. That they are going to let love rule their hearts. They are going to deal with this peacefully. Just this once, there could be a happy ending. That's a joke, because every Mechanisms album has a terrible ending.
Yep.
3 shots rang out from the shadows of the doorway. Guinevere fell dead. Lancelot fell dead. Arthur fell to his knees. Mordred walked in with tears in his eyes and blood on his hands. He apologizes to his father, and then he drags him into a life pod and shoots him out into the ether. Mordred sets himself as the captain, takes control of the Grail and of the entire station, and he drives the space station into the sun. Ain't nobody getting out of this one. That's his justice. Yep.
Love that. He girl bossed too close to the sun.
Yep. Too close to the sun.
Into the sun. Yeah, but also the fact that there could be a happy ending. It's also a reference to how, like, Westerns usually have sad endings. And
Arthurian legend. Yeah.
It's always just sad endings. It's never
rough
good.
times all around out here.
Yeah. Mordred dragging Arthur into, like, the life pod is like, hey, look, we're bringing Arthur to Avalon to be, like, healed, and then, like, he'll come back one day, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He ain't coming back to the station, though. He's gotta go somewhere else, I guess.
Apparently.
Alright. Our last song is Once and Future King. This is my actual favorite song on the album. I cry every time. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Wait, who is it that kills them? That's what... Is it just, like, Gawain going insane that, like, shot everybody? Is that what it was?
No, Mordred shot the 3 of them.
Mordred did, okay.
Yes,
I was,
Mordred
like,
arrives...
very confused.
Yes, okay. No, Mordred is... This is his whole plan the whole time. He wants this Grail... He wants to kill everyone. So it doesn't even matter that he shot Guinevere and Lancelot, because he's taking the entire world down. This is the last dredges of a dead civilization, and he's gonna end it all now. No more.
Okay, I was like, slightly confused on how that was going. My interpretation was that, like, Gawain, like, shot them as he was, like, trying to kill, like, everybody. And Mordred was like, well, fuck.
Nah.
There's nothing left to save.
When Mordred is saying, where will you run to, in the previous song, to me, it's like, there's nowhere on the station you will be safe because I'm about to destroy this entire fucking station. I'm taking you all down with me. There's nothing worth saving in here, except for his father. He's sending him out.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so continue.
Yeah, once and future king. I don't even know what I can say about this, because a lot of that plot we already went through, but it's extremely beautiful. We recover that if they'd ever listened to the prophecies, then maybe it could have been fixed, but really we were all doomed from the start. We had the line that Arthur's lover's eyes he'd last seen gleam in the pin of his gun sight, and now they're both dead. Mordred he kisses his father upon the forehead. He gets his own lines in conjunction with the narrator here, talking about how they could have saved them all if only Arthur had listened to him. But now you'll be the once and future king.
Yep.
I'm like trying so hard to not just read lyrics because they're all so good, but it's not going to hit the same. Just go listen to this song.
Yeah. Well, you know what this song's referencing? Can you take a hint on what this title might be referencing?
I mean,
possibly.
Arthur's asleep and he's going to come back when we need him the most, right?
Yeah. That's like, I believe that's the line that's like on his grave or something, is that like, here lies Arthur, the once and future king.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, that's where that comes from. And then there's a whole like series named after that, the once and future king.
Yeah, it gives us a lot of fun leeway for modern AUs.
Yeah, I think I talked about this a little bit when we did The King Under the Mountain, when Pan came back in Percy Jackson. Like, Arthur is one of those, like, kings under the mountain. He's gonna come back someday to save Britain, is one of those, like, legends. Yeah. But he can't go and save this space station because it's gone. It went into the sun. Don't you love that our cowboy at the end goes into the sunset?
Yeah. I like how it's described here that the station sets into the sun instead of the other way around.
It's good.
Mordred's crying and he's done with everything. I'm insane. I'm obsessed. I can't. And I just think about Arthur just floating out there. Everything's gone. Everything that he ever knew in his entire life. And he is just out there. Also, Brian is presumably somewhere. He's immortal. They can fly him into the sun. He'll be fine. I guess his crew probably picks him up at some point. I don't know.
He's just a hanged man. Don't worry about it.
Poor drumbop Brian, just hanging out inside a sun. I assume that's not pleasant. Yeah, so who knows what happened to that life pod? Maybe it's still out there somewhere.
Maybe. Yeah, this is a very fun retelling of, like, King Arthur legends, I think.
I love everything they've done with this. I think it's so cool.
A better retelling of Arthurian shit than Merlin. In my opinion.
Well, when you don't have seasons and seasons to continue fucking things up, it probably helps.
I mean, there was also, like, stuff going on from the get-go that I'm like, what are you doing? There was a very specific story they wanted to tell, and I'm like, okay, sure. But, like, this does that while also being, like, very much, like, referential. And, like, I love how referential Mechanisms is. Like, everything is so very, like, intentional.
Yeah.
And I love it.
So I have this thing that every Mechanisms album has a worse ending than the one before it. So I'm gonna spoil the albums for you, but I am just going to assume that you're gonna forget before we get there.
They're also all gonna end terribly, so, like, who cares?
Yeah. So the first album, they win a war and improve the like station of the universe. They have actually improved things materially, but most of the principal cast dies, and it's like super tragic at the end. But like generally things are better. So it's still a tragedy, but the second album, Ulysses Dies at Dawn, you've already experienced, and in that one, the horrible status quo remains and the principal character dies. Yeah, they're all dead at the end of that one, right? Yeah, they all get like shot. Yeah.
Yes.
So that one, it just continues sucking forever. And this one, the status quo is that the entire world has been destroyed, along with most of the principal cast. So we've escalated to a little bit worse. The last album, it's gonna get even worse than that, if you can imagine.
Wow.
We'll get there eventually.
How
I
could it
just
keep getting worse?
I just think that that's funny of them, that we continue to escalate every time. It is going to be worse than the world being destroyed.
I mean, this wasn't a world, it was just a space station. Like, just don't worry about it. It's fine.
The last remnants of a dead civilization.
Don't worry about
Mordred
it.
did a genocide.
Who hasn't in this world? I don't know. Anyway,
yeah.
they did it. Good job to the mechanisms. High Noon Over Camelot. Amazing. Beautiful. Wonderful.
Beautiful. Truly.
Did we talk for long enough, or do we need to stay here for another 2 hours?
I don't know. We could if we felt like it. I'm done, but I'm also not done, you know? I'm like, we could talk about their mechanisms forever.
But you
we
know
didn't
what?
even talk about the folk songs that they've been interpreting. We could go back and tell you what every single tune is. You can find that on Genius Lyrics if you want it.
Yeah, a lot of these are like to the tunes of like older songs. Gotta love that.
I just really, really, really think it's funny that it's dem bones, dem dry bones.
I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoy this.
Imagine making that into a popular song for people who aren't like 5-year-olds in a church.
I can't.
But Johnny can, and that's why he has a popular space cabaret, and we don't.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Do we want to do plugs, or do we just want to close this one out?
I forgot how podcasting works. I don't have one, but I could probably if you give me a minute.
I never have one anymore. I'm running out of media.
I'm like looking around my room for books that I've read. What did we watch recently? I'm sure we've watched a film at some point.
Have I watched anything that I haven't plugged is the problem, because I plug like everything that I consume. Bro, at some point we're just gonna have to stop doing plugs. That's gonna be like...
No, there will always be new things to talk about. There will.
Just but I keep reconsuming things. So what else is there? Here my plug is this album from the Mechanisms. If you got through all of this and you're like, what?
Yeah, that would be an insane thing to do, to not listen to this album and just listen to us like go on about it.
If you are one of the people who did that, well then you should go listen to this album.
The music is better than whatever we were doing here.
We were just talking about it, having a grand old time.
All right, give me a hot second. I'm gonna find a fan fiction that I like.
I'll give you the hottest second I can. We're in the sun again. Everyone is dead.
Damn.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I know the fic I'm looking for. I just want to find the author for you all. All right. The fan fiction that I would like to recommend is a Danny Phantom fan fiction called Something's Wrong with Danny Phantom Volume 1 by Perfectly Inconspicuous on Archive of Our Own.
Love that.
This is kind of a horror retelling of Danny Phantom. It is a no one knows AU, written mostly from Sam and Tucker's perspective, as they are discovering that Danny is half ghost, but in this, the ghosts are like fucked up. Like Phantom, I don't remember if he can like speak, but like when they see him, it is a horror situation. And the way that it's written here is really cool. If they were going to reboot Danny Phantom as like an edgy like CW show, I would want it to be exactly like this. Also, it's an OT3 fic, so you know my ass is in there. Yeah, Sam Tucker and Danny.
Yes.
Yeah, I highly, highly recommend this. I'm hoping that someday they'll get to the sequel. I'm still waiting.
Man, I can't remember if I've already talked to you about this, but like the fact that Netflix is like gonna be making a live action Scooby-Doo
oh my
and
God.
like And one of the producers is like one of the people who did like all the CW
oh god
shows. I'm just like, is it here? Is it here? This is what I've wanted. I want the gritty live action Scooby-Doo that's like Riverdale.
There's like a fan project that is kind of like that I watched some of once.
I mean, there's Mystery Incorporated on YouTube.
I don't remember what it was. I just watched it with Teddy
it's
and Andy, and I was like, what is this?
I don't think I watched like their actual episode, but I watched like their trailer, and I was like, this is good. This is fun stuff. Yeah.
So now they're doing that officially. Very exciting.
We love it. Yeah. So I guess get out of my fucking like space station, actually. I'm
flying off into the sky.
I'm jettisoning you off out. You're on life support. You're not gonna die, and I'm just gonna go like drive this thing into the sun. Don't worry about it.
Deeply upsetting. Great.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you to Matt for being so cool and swag and also supporting us on Patreon. You can follow this podcast socials at Of the Eldest Gods Pod on Instagram and Tumblr, and at Of the Eldest Gods on Twitter. You can send us an iris message through oftheeldestgodspod@gmail.com. If you'd like to support us financially, join us at patreon.com/oftheeldestgods. By becoming a patron, you can join the Deus Ex Media Discord server, where you'll be able to chat with us and other listeners about episodes and anything Percy Jackson related. Our $5 patron tier also gets you access to Against All Odds, our monthly bonus show. There, we'll talk about a wide variety of topics, which usually have something to do with mythology. No promises. You can check out our merch store on Redbubble to find custom designs made by Charlie. Or if you cannot or do not want to support us financially, we'd really appreciate a rating, a review, or letting your friends and followers know how much you love the podcast. That really helps. You can find me, Raye, at HeyHeyRaye, spelled R-A-Y-E, on Twitter. If you want to hear more from me, check out Barbie Movie Slap, a podcast where my co-host Ted and I discuss Barbie's cinematic universe. That podcast Twitter is at Barbie Slaps.
And you can follow me, Charlie, at GreenPixie12 on most platforms, but on Twitter I'm at GreenPixie123, which I'm totally not salty about. I also have an art Instagram at GreenPixieDraws. I sometimes do the YouTube thing on my channel, Charlie Mac. That's M-A-C-K. Our music was written by Isabel Strauss-Riggs and recorded and edited by Ian M. Riggs. You can find Izzy at Kane_I, that's I as in the body part, on Instagram and Twitter. She also currently makes video essays on the YouTube channel Kane I. Feel free to message her about making music for your project or editing your podcast.
Oh, my cat has to go. You keep thinking.
I'll always keep thinking.
Here you go, sweet boy. Oh, goodbye. I'll miss you. Oh, 2 kitties. All right, I'm back.
Deus Ex Media.